They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E Streaming. I'm, as I'm Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you, and we welcome you tonight here at Talladega Super Speedway. It is round 10 of the ANZCAR Cup, and we are back on one of the fast tracks. Yes, it is restrictor plate racing, and we are here at Talladega, one of the most famous tracks in all of NASCAR, you've got to say. Joining me up here in the booth tonight, I have Mr. Mark Johansson. Mark, how are you going, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Special time of year, special race, and it's good to see so many come out for the race tonight with ANZCAR. So well done to those guys that have turned up and put in the effort.
Absolutely, some absolute stunning liveries out there as well, paying tribute to the servicemen and women of Australia and New Zealand, of course. And well, we have one of those in the booth with us with Mark as well. We thank him for his service and all the good and all the work that he's done. We also have Mr. Matty Hunter with us tonight. Matt, how are you going, mate?
I'm going good, Carl. Yep, good to be here, and yeah, looking forward to the race.
Absolutely, a lot of things to look for in this race. It's going to be a bit of a different one. We are just a few moments out from the traditional minutes of silence for the ANZAC broadcast of the Cup. How many times tonight are we going to mistakenly say ANZAC and ANZCAR? Write it down, try and find out how many times we stuff it up, because it will be a few times, Mark, won't it?
Oh, definitely, mate. If we have our timing like last night, we will make a few boo-boos tonight, and yeah, bit of fun along the way. I'm just looking through some of these cars, and there's some great paint liveries here tonight. So yeah, get behind them, send us a message, and we will pass it on to the guys in those cars.
Absolutely, as we see the last few people taking advantage of practice coming in to pit lane now. A little bit hot there for somebody, and they will pull up as we will take our minute's silence in remembrance to the servicemen and women who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for Australia, and we wish them all the best. And we thank you for that minute's silence, and we thank everybody as well for their service. All of that kind of thing. It's a very important little moment for us all, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, it definitely is, mate. As you said, I'm a returned serviceman. It's been a great privilege to serve this great nation of ours, and pay respect to this, especially this week, to the guys that have made, and the women that have made the supreme sacrifice of giving their life.
Absolutely. Let us run through the starting grid. It's Daniel Hederscheid taking pole position just ahead of Matty Reid, starting on the front row again. He seems to be taking it out the park in qualifying recently. Second row, we've got Jamie Nankervis with Ryan Jones. On row number 3, it's Barber and Pearson. On the 4th row, we've got Jai Schultz next to Phil Otto. Row number 5 sees Lachlan Urquio with Dylan O'Shea. Row number 6, we've got Darren McKenzie and Toby Stent. On the 7th row of the grid, it's Douglas and Trahair. Row number 8, we've got Dyson and Neil. On the 9th row, we've got Clark and Carol Walden. Row number 10 sees Wellman next to Williams. On the 11th row, it's Bowen next to Curtis. 12th row, we've got Patton next to Delaney. 13th row is Fenley and Lobb. 14th row, Luke Georgeson with Parry Anastakis. 15th row, we've got Craig Roffey with Mirko Dortmack. 16th row, Christopher Tomlin next to Michael Skurlock. Luke Crum and Paul Jackson make up the 17th row. Row number 18 sees Tristan Koch next to Ruben Phelps. 19th row, we've got Henderson next to Jordan. And rounding us out is Malone and Edward Foster. So a bumper grid tonight, Mark. 40 cars out there.
Yeah, that's good to see. And I will comment on the 2-1 Paul Jackson's car. He's got that special delivery on for the ANZAC Day, and he's kept his purple wheels for me. So thanks very much, Paul. Well done, and I do like your livery, mate.
No, great stuff. We're looking forward to seeing some of those liveries throughout the race. It will be a nice thing to have a little bit of a look at. We should see some good racing here tonight. Talladega, of course, is restrictor plate racing at its finest. We're looking at track temperatures of around about 42 degrees at the moment, 22 degrees air temperature. That 42 degrees is a rather large motorbike goes past my window. That will get the tyres quite warm. And something that we might see tonight that we don't always see on restrictor plates are tyres coming into play. These cars have been a little bit they tend to eat up their tyres a little bit quicker than previous generations of the Cup car. Fuel-wise, we're looking at about 30 to 35 laps on a tank, of course. If you're sitting out front, you're going to be using fuel a lot quicker. If you're sitting in the mid-pack, then you're going to be able to save some of that juice, get a little bit longer into your stint. Pace car is coming around turn 4 for the first time tonight, and it will be coming into pit lane to let these cars get off. Of course, it is a long way to the start-finish grid here at Talladega, so we've got a couple of more moments to have a little bit of a chat, Mark. Who are you looking for tonight?
Look, it's going to be a hard one. I'm going to pick someone that's been on form, and Jamie Nankervis, mate.
A good pick indeed. As they come around here, coming up to the start-finish line, it's about to go green here for 90 laps at Talladega. For the ANZCAR Cup, it is round 10 of the championship. Now on Performance E Streaming, enjoy these cars running around Talladega. As the pack crossed the line to get the first lap underway, Ryan Jones caught a little bit in the middle. He got stuck in the middle of those two lines, has had to drop back a little bit. They're running too wide at the moment. You don't want to go too fast too early, but a long low line has formed at the moment. Everybody's sort of jumping to the low line. The high line's a little bit less popular. Matty Ray is leading the high line at the moment. On the low line, it is Daniel Hederscheid. And of course, it is bump drafting. It's getting the cars into the right position for this part.
Yeah, it definitely is. But the dangerous thing here with this early bump drafting is that, well, any type of bump drafting through super speedways, you really need to kiss that bumper in front of you square on. We've seen in the past where on some of the mile and a half tracks, the guys have come up and just touched that bumper, but haven't been square onto it, and we've seen a big wreck come off. And if we have one of these guys up the front have a wreck at the moment, we're going to see a lot of cars involved in it early.
Oh, absolutely. It's always a talking point of super speedways, the big one that they call it, and that's because it is a very big accident. When you have cars at the front of the pack getting caught up in that, you can sometimes lose half to more than half of a field, and it is a nasty place to be. That's why sometimes it's best to start right at the back of the pack, just to keep yourself a little bit safer, because you've got time to react. Don't have a huge amount of time, of course, because you're still travelling at about 300 kilometers per hour, just over that, in fact, about 310 in these cars. So you've only got milliseconds to react, and well, at the moment it's getting very, very congested up the front as people want to go to that low line. Phil Otto's been left out all on his own at the moment, as people are really trying desperately to try and get into the low line. It's not really working out. There's only so much room you can squeeze in. Nobody's giving any space at the moment. Will somebody give a little bit of room for the number one to slot himself into that line? He's trying to find a spot at the moment. There's nothing to be had. The high line's starting to form up again, though. This time with Tom Neal, I think, on second in line. And they're starting to sort of get themselves into a position where they can start working. But that lost them a huge amount of time as always cars bailed into the low line.
Yeah, definitely. Just watching further back in the pack there, Carl. Ed Foster in the 53 car started right at the rear of the field, and in 5 laps he has absolutely been on a flyer and made up 11 spots already. So he's definitely wants to get to the front of this field in a hurry, because if we see 2 packs form and he's stuck in that second pack, he's going to have a hard time getting back to those lead cars.
No, absolutely, it is an important part of the restrictor plate race, of course, trying to keep yourself on the lead pack. You do not want to drop off of that group of cars, because you can lose an awful lot of speed and find yourself falling backwards very quickly. And although this track is well, it's just over 4 kilometres in length, 4.5 kilometres almost in length, it does not take long for those cars to catch up to you and start passing you and putting you down a lap, and that can be a dire position to be in.
Most definitely, and you definitely don't want, as we're saying, don't want to get to that rear of the pack, and then you've got to start hoping for a caution and lucky dogs, and it makes your night very hard to get back up into that lead pack and on that lead lap.
Yes, indeed. At the moment, up the front, Jamie Nankervis doing a good job at just keeping right under the spoiler of Daniel Hederscheid in the lead. He's managed to slot himself up into P2 there in the line of cars. Andy Barber having a nice little run up there as well, getting himself in third with Jai Schultz and Toby Stent. Toby Stent on the high line at the moment, and he's trying to take advantage of that, get himself up to the front so he can start working with his teammate. Of course, all about teammates in a super speedway, all about trying to find that perfect pusher from behind, or that willing person to sit in front of you as well. And having teammates around you can be the difference between winning and losing on a track like this.
Most definitely, mate. But I can tell you now, that Black Arrows car of Jamie Nankervis, he'll be working with the Natari cars to get those guys to the front. And they'll try and work together for the majority part of this race. But come that last 20 laps, it's going to be on. And I can tell you, Jamie is keen for a first victory with ANZCAR.
Nice long time coming, and he would be very stoked with that. A little bit further back, there is a group of cars that have lost the lead pack. Craig Rothby at the moment is in a bit of a dire spot as he's trying to get linked up to the back of the 2 inside lane production cars, I believe. Inside lane production cars there of Crum and Tomlin. So they've sort of linked themselves up well, but they've fallen right off the back of the main group of cars, and they're a good couple of seconds off of that pack, so they're going to lose the draft entirely. Meanwhile, up the front, we've got a new leader in Toby Stent for a limited time, because now we've got Ryan Jones up there. And speak about people that have been, overdue a victory of late. Ryan Jones is one of those people, the bridesmaid, never the bride at the moment for Ryan Jones. Been having some fantastic runs, but just sometimes been a little bit unlucky for cautions and things. Cautions and little taps now and again, but he's currently up there. He's got Dave Douglas right behind him as well. And if you're asking to get pushed by somebody in ANZCAR, I think most people would pick the number 10 of Dave Douglas as the answer to who you want that to be.
The other good one to see up there is the 45 of Gary Wellman, mate. We've seen him have some bad luck this year, but he's done well so far to stay up in that front 3 rows.
Absolutely, and if there's a driver that is good on a super speedway, it is Gary Wellman. The Sim Boys are notorious for their super speedway action. They are very good at getting victories on them. I think it's just Gary Wellman out there tonight flying the colours. I don't think I've seen anybody else, but there are many Sim Boys, for they are legion and they are many. So there could be one else just missed out, but at the moment Gary Wellman is flying on his own. He has got Shane Bowen just behind him for the moment, but they're having a good run up towards the front of the pack, which is now led by Ryan Jones. Dave Douglas dropping down into that low line with him. They got out a nice little bit of a lead in front of Stent and slotted themselves in. Shane Bowen just getting down into the low line as well, and a few more cars just dropping out of that high line and making it a little bit less quick, gotta say. One of those cars in the high line at the moment is Edward Foster. He's up into P20. He's battling with Adam Malone at the moment. Both of those cars up 20 spots in this race. They've been shuffling themselves along nicely and trying to battle each other to see who can have the most positions gained in the race for the time being. At the moment, it's a dead heat between the two cars. Brenton Henderson also vying for that spot in P17 as well. He's up 21 positions now, having a good run in the SRM machine. A team with quite a few cars out there as well. Brenton Henderson, the SRM team, of course. The Mobile Brake Mechanical, made of Auckland sponsored cars. They are having a good run at the moment, and if they can link up with each other, they will surely be in a good position. There's a lot of experienced drivers in that team, as well as some slightly newer drivers to oval racing, but they're getting great coaching from those experienced guys, and they seem to be working wonders at the moment. So as we tick over, it's lap 12, 78 laps remaining here tonight. And so far, we've seen some good old restrictor plate racing. Everybody's been behaving, just keeping themselves in a line, which is what you need to do. You will see the cars just wobbling behind the cars in front of them, just sometimes darting out from behind them to just get a little bit of fresh air into the radiator, just to stop them overheating. And that's a normal little thing on a restrictor plate race like this one, just to try and keep the cars sort of cool. We're on board with Michael Skurlock at the moment at 350, and this gives you an idea of what it's like when you're running in a pack. There's not much you're looking at. You're generally just looking at the car ahead, listening to your spotter to let you know if there's a car on your inside or if there's a gap. At the moment, he's sitting right behind Mirko Dortnack, giving him a push. The BMX Bandits working together. They've got Luke Traher down on the inside as well. And although they're not a team, they are a affiliated group with each other, so they might be able to link up and actually get some good runs into this race. So keep an eye on the BMX Bandits, as they like to call themselves. They could have a good run here. But when you're driving in a pack like this, you're basically just looking to the left-hand side of your windscreen most of the way around the lap through those corners, just trying to see if there's any smoke in front of you, just hoping there is not a wreck. There's not much you can do in those situations. Generally, you'll see the car just getting up towards its RPM limit. When you're sitting behind the car, though, you can just lift off the throttle pedal a little bit. That lets you save fuel, so you don't have to go all the way down to the floor. You can save a little bit of gas and keep the car running well.
It's just I'm just going to ask. I wonder if Mirko, if I rang for Uber Eats for up here in the booth, if Mirko will take time out to come and deliver it with the Uber Eats sponsor on the back of your car.
I mean, Marco's pretty good at not making it to the end of a race. So, there might be a good chance he could actually get the food here in the booth relatively quickly.
So what do we want? Macca's? No, it's good to see some good sponsors on these cars. You were talking there about the Sim Boys. The other team that's out there tonight, but ain't at full strength, is those SRM guys. I think they kind of sort of get a new team member every week.
Yeah, they've got a good amount of boys, as I said before. It's nice to see them building up that and, getting some newer faces into the series as well and helping them come along nicely. We do like to see them. Just talking at the back of Mirko's car, it's got written on the rear of the car, which we could probably just about see on Scarlock's view, which was in for a fun time, not a long time, which is, you've got to say, Mirko's motto. There we go. You can just see that one there. Good sense of humour between those boys as well. It's the thing of, there's a lot of joking, a lot of laughing with that, but when it comes to racing, the serious hat does go on indeed. Especially in the plate stuff, they are very good hands. And, it's not often you'll see the wrecks coming from those cars.
I was just watching the up front battle. Dave Douglas is really getting right up there in and giving Jones a push just before they get into the apex of the corner, and that gives him a little bit of a run. Trying to break that draft with Toby Stent, trying to push them out, let them themselves both out and get a bit of a gap. It's working to a certain degree, but then Toby and Daniel and Jamie can close that gap. And of course, Andy Barber's sitting there too in that Mustang, trying to stay on that inside tail. It'd be interesting to see if those 6 cars do get a break, how much of a gap they can pull out.
Absolutely, it's a tricky thing to do, of course, on a super speedway, because as soon as you start getting a gap of about a quarter of a second or so, then all of a sudden it will give the car behind the monster of all drafts and will just snap that gap up very, very quickly. You can see it on the top of your screen there with Neil Pearson behind Luke Traher. Bit of a big gap, and then all of a sudden it just closes like a snap of the fingers. So it just sort of makes it a little bit less. It doesn't really help at all making those big gaps, but it can just give you a little bit more confidence and sometimes just cause the drivers behind just to get caught out a little bit as well. At the moment, they're just trying to push as hard as they can just to keep themselves up in the lead of this race. And they're doing a good job of it at the moment, although that high line has started working together. Gary Wellman in the lead of that one at the moment. He's got Phil Otto behind him. And they're starting to have a relatively good run here on the high side. We've not seen much of a high side run all night. And you can see there's a huge gap between Malone and Nankervis there. And that's going to close up very, very quickly once they get the draft in effect. But it just makes the Highline cars think, oh, there's a gap there, I might go for it. And that can sometimes break that Highline up and slow everything down.
I will give a shout out to Neil Pearson, the 62 car. We don't always see those DPR cars supporting, or not supporting, but bearing a ANZAC, there's the first one, ANZAC livery, but these boys, Neil's gone out and got the poppies around the rear end of all the cars, so it's good to see the DPR boys supporting the ANZACs here in tonight's race.
Absolutely, and it's a nice looking scheme actually on Pearson's car, because the red of the poppies just work perfectly for the actual car design as well, and it just gives it a nice little bit of a pop. It's not as noticeable as some of the others, but it is a nice little touch indeed. And I like those little simple little, not always as noticeable little tributes, but they are nice to see. Just those little tiny bits on the cars. It's a very nice little items we popped on there.
Yeah, if we jump back, Matt, to Stevie Williams down in 32nd place, he's got the green and black car, and those poppies really do stand out on the back of that car too. So well done to the DPR boys for getting on board and really getting in the spirit of the ANZAC.
Absolutely, and the NP designed cars looking very good there, and the NP, of course, now Neil Pearson. So he's done a nice job on those ones. Just behind him as well. Lots of really pretty liveries out there tonight. Some really nice looking cars, very striking looking as well. Just up to the front again, though, Gary Wellman is now starting to pull in the leaders a little bit. That high line is working very well as it stands, and they're just starting to get a little bit more of a run here and there. So we could see somebody trying to push to get to the front, the very front of this race. We're on lap 21, 69 laps remaining here. It is, of course.
Sorry, Carl. If we could get next time we come down the back straight, Matty, if we can get a good close zoom in, I'm on the zoomed in camera, and you can see there Phil Otto really doing the Morse code on the back of Gary Willman's bumper down the back straight, really giving him that push, and that's what they need to do. They need to get that push happening and get that outside line working. They, as you were saying, Carl, they have made up a lot of ground. They're now back up level pegging with Jamie Nankervis. And before we went to the rear, they were a bit back behind Andy Barber. So this bump drafting is working for that outside line.
It is indeed.
And you can see. Sorry, I was going to say, you can see there, he's right up on his bumper and giving him a nice little tap.
Now, experienced driver you've got in Phil Otto, as he decides, no, I'm going to go down here now. He's decided to pull it to the bottom line, and that's going to break that high line up, and it's going to fall backwards once again. And he's just come back up now. So he's decided he wants to become the leader. So Gary Wellman's now going to do a little bit of the pushing as he decides he's going to drop down to the low line. And this is the thing, if with temporary alliances out there, not all of these boys will be in the same Discord server, of course. They won't be chatting to each other. Teammates will be, but many other cars will be flying solo tonight. And, you know, these temporary alliances are just that, they're temporary, because these drivers want to win it for themselves.
Yeah, look, when it comes down to it, the last 5 laps, even if your teammates in front of you, especially with this race, I know this is one race I always would love to win. It means so much to me, even though it is only on the sim world, but it is very important to some of these guys out there. It's definitely one race of the season you want to win. So yeah, let's battle on that last 10 laps if teammates are together.
Absolutely, the record books do not remember second place; they remember the victor. Now, just looking a little bit further back in the field, we've got taking up the tail of the field at the moment. Blake Delaney has fallen completely off with Luke Georgeson. But I was having a bit of a look at Riley Curtis and Nigel Patton, two very pretty-looking cars, who are both having lovely little liveries there with the ANZAC motifs to them. Very striking on Riley's car. It's sort of got that nice multicoloured poppy on the front, which really makes it stand out. And Nigel Patton, of course, with the blue and gold. Very pretty looking cars back there as well.
And I'm going to bring up the paints of the inside line production team. Christopher Tomlin supporting the Royal Australian Navy there with the blue and the good old white ensign on the roof. I believe Kobe has the Army, Air Force. Is that the 808? That Luke Crum supporting the Air Force, and I do believe Kobe will be having the Army paint on the good old khaki.
Yeah, some really nice looking cars out there today, and as we say, that's what we like to see. You know, it just, as you said, Mark, it means a lot for these people.
Yeah, definitely, especially ex-servicemen. You know, I know over the two leagues, ANZCAR and Weekend Warriors, there are a lot of ex-servicemen, and so yeah, it means a lot to see these guys put in such a great effort, even though they've had no service background or anything, and it's just the Australian
Sorry,
spirit.
a little bit of a moment for Mirko Dornak there. Just a little bit loose, I think. We just had a little bit of a moment behind Maddie Ray, and that's caused a bit of a check-up in the grid, but no harm, no foul for those cars. But it can happen in a heartbeat, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's only going to take one of these guys at the front to get a little bit loose, like you were saying, and it could bring the whole field undone, and see a lot of cars. As we can see, Ryan Jones there slipping back through the middle of the lead pack there. He's gone to the back a little bit. I don't know whether he's just easing up and giving those tyres a rest. But we can see a third row forming there with Andrew Dyston.
So people just getting, you know, they've been there for a while. They just decided it's time to do some stuff right now, and they've gone 3 wide. So a lot of spots out there, and that's going to slow everybody down as well, of course, because you've got a few cars out of position. But once they can start settling it in, they should be okay.
Those DPR cars are really good at bump drafting.
Yeah, they're running very well at the moment and doing a good job. And just noticed in the chat, we just had somebody asking, just wondering what's happened to Luke Georgeson. He has just lost the draft completely. He had a little bit of a moment a fair few laps ago, just had to lift out the gas and he just dropped off the pack, unfortunately, and he's plummeting down. And we have got a car a lap down as well. Blake Delaney has become the first car to get lapped, and that was going on in all of that melee where we saw the 3 lines coming through, and I think that's why the third line started to form up as well.
You can see there the boys bump drafting on that third line, and Dyson's getting a really good bump of the 99 of Lob, and getting a great run around the outside of the turn. But that third line just haven't got enough guys up there working.
Yeah, it's very tricky when you don't have enough cars in the line, and that can make a bit of a difference. Just going back to Christopher Toplin's paint job. This is going to be a question for you, Mark. Just on the side of his car, what ship is being displayed? Oh, we got a wreck happening! Forget that, because we've got a wreck happening in the main pack as one of the cars gets up into the wall. And who was that? I think it was Darren Lobb. He's got up into the wall. That set the car loose. He's gone up into the wall, gone round. It's collected Dylan O'Shea, and he's had a big spin. And oh, very close to a big accident there. Some very lucky drivers out there tonight. So here we come. Just makes contact with the wall, and around she goes, gets into Darren Lobb, and I think it was Edward Foster, the first car, that was very close to being wrecked in that one, as those cars go around. And watch the cars as Darren McKenzie, so close to getting wiped out there. Great job reacting for him. He's just clipped the wall, I think, just to get out of the way. And a lot of cars got very, very lucky in avoiding that accident.
Yeah, very lucky. But you can see the awareness of Foster there as that car starts to go down. You can see him already heading down under that yellow line to make sure he's out of the way. And very lucky for both of those Southern Stars esports cars of Mackenzie and Malone to miss that.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct, because they got so close there. And Mackenzie's got a little bit of damage on the right front. He'll be able to get that one hammered out relatively quickly. But of course, any aero damage is not fun to have, and this is on board right now. Very, very close stuff. Okay, cars coming into pit lane right now. So the race is going to be on in pit lane. This kind of worked out perfectly for everybody for their stop, because it means they can come in, get a nice full tank of gas, get a cheap pit stop as well, maybe chuck on some new tyres. It also allows drivers to do some adjustments if they want to. Not much you can really adjust for a super speedway. They can change the bump and the tyre pressure, but a few drivers might just do a little bit of a tweak to make the car a little bit more comfortable for the runs. But they'll be able to get back out and get on to the next stint. We see the absolute chaos of cars coming off pit lane, and everybody trying to battle it out for position at the moment.
Sorry, Carl. We've been able to get in touch with PJ, Paul Jackson, the pilot of the 231. Paul, you've got a copy. Mark in the booth here, mate.
Yeah, mate. How you going?
Good, mate. Good. Love the paint scheme. Love that you've still got my purple wheels on there for you. Mate, how's it going so far? Probably would like to see yourself further up the field.
Well, yeah, the paint, I just grabbed it out of me trade and paints folder because I didn't have time to slap one together, so it's last year's one I ran. But yeah, I just cruising around a bit. The outside line, I was sort of, just flowing a bit with the traffic on the outside and inside line, and there was a lot of checkups on the inside line. I was running quite slow, and then ended up losing the pack there, dropped back to the second pack, and just sort of running around open for that caution. Yeah, keeping out of trouble at the moment.
Well, you've definitely got your wish. You'll be able to get back up into that pack. Fresh rubber and a full tank of fuel, mate.
Yeah, and just put a bit more air in the left sides as well. See what happens with that. Try and stabilise it a little bit.
All right, mate. Well, thanks very much for your time. We'll drop you back down into your chat, and let's hope we can see the 231 Toyota in victory lane tonight.
All right, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Carl. Have a good one.
No worries, mate. Thank you. Well, there you go. We've been able to get someone that's willing to have a chat with us through a caution and bring you a bit of an insight into the way drivers are thinking for this big race, 90 laps. So, yeah, we can hear there, Carl, that he's gone adjustments down the left. We have heard, or I have heard, that that the left side is the side that's going to hurt a little bit here tonight.
Yeah, that's it. It's I think quite a bit of heat is going through there, and that's causing a bit of degradation. Of course, you can drop the pressures a little bit just to help with the overheating. What that does, though, is it slows the car down a little bit. Obviously, to make the car go fast, you kind of want higher pressures in there. Lower pressure is good for getting it through the corners, but higher pressure is good for ultimate top speed because it reduces the rolling resistance. So, a very fine balance in what you want to tweak in that respect. Because obviously you don't want to have your tyres burning up, but you also don't want to have them creating a little bit of extra drag, which they can do if you just have them down a little bit on tyre pressure. And that's mainly going to be on the restarts or on the initial go. So there's lots of little things in there that can really, really shake them up.
Yeah, most definitely is.
So we've got 40 cars back on the lead lap after that one. So everybody is back out there and all in 40 cars on the lead lap. So that is some good news indeed.
Yeah, it's good. Definitely some good news to see this far in with everyone back on the lead lap. So it's a reset basically, another restart, and Ed Foster now up in the 21st starting position. So look for him to really start to make his way through this this second stint of racing.
Absolutely. Dynamo Shay's back out there with minimal damage on that car, so pretty good. Darren Lobb is also back out on track as well. So those cars involved in the incident, Lobb, McKenzie and O'Shea are back out there and racing, so that's always good to see. We're about to go back to green flag racing here. Lap 33, 57 laps to go here at Talladega for round number 10 of the ANZCAR Cup. It is, of course, the ANZAC Memorial Race today, and we are looking forward to getting this one back to green flag. They're going to come into the restart zone. When does Toby Stent drop the loud pedal? He's waiting right to the very end, and he gets it down. Gets a good restart there, builds out a fairly big gap. Of course, that's going to hurt, because all of a sudden that gap's going to close down. He jumps up to the high side, gets in front of his teammate, so that they can start working together. Daniel Hedderscheid there behind Toby Stent. It looks like Jamie Nankervis tucking in behind there as well. Douglas and Ryan Jones on the low line at the moment, trying to make it so these three cannot connect to each other, cannot get into a position where they can work with each other.
Yeah, the danger here is that, and as it looks like those top three, the two Natari cars and the Black Arrows car, they are clear. You'll see them drop down very quickly. Unfortunately for Jones and Douglas, they weren't able to make that two-car runs work, and we can now see the rest of the field behind them starting to close up. Barber up there on the high line, looking to make that outside line work with Otto. And I believe that's Matty Ray and Spurlock and Pearson. So that's a fairly formidable outside line in those front 4 or 5 cars. And Foster is now up in behind Pearson.
You've got Foster, Phelps, Stevie Dubb up there as well. So quite a big... We're going to wreck in the background, though. Car is around the wrong way, as we're going to go back to caution flag racing here. Back
It's
to
Kobe.
the flag.
Kobe Jordan.
It is the 080. As we'll have a look at the replay here, find out what's happened to the Inside Lane Productions car, and looks like there's contact between himself and the 019 of O'Shea, and that sent him around the wrong way, and all very, very close. I didn't see who that was at the top, but they just made it through. Pep's car's not looking too bad, actually. It's not as badly wrecked as I would have expected to see it. So he may have got just a bit lucky there, as whoever that was. I think that might have been Tomlin. It was Luke Crum, I think, who got very lucky not to collect his teammate there. They were so very close to a big accident. No, it was not. It was somebody else a bit further back with a very similar
One
car.
person that is lucky there, Carl, is Darren McKenzie. It looks like it's only just rubbed that front right guard across the two cars. So very lucky for McKenzie.
Yeah, that's it. There was a few lucky drivers in that melee. Very, very close to having a huge wreck in that one, but luckily everybody got through it relatively unscathed. As I said, hopefully Kevin Jordan's not got too much damage on that car. He should hopefully be back in this one. It doesn't look like it's taking too much damage, in all honesty, so that could be good. Will we see people coming back into pit lane? Does not look like it. Everybody looking to stick out. We might see a few people dart in to get some fuel, as we're seeing Pearson and Foster do exactly that.
I've got to say, Foster's got the easiest pit stall tonight. He's right at the back in 40th spot. So
you say that's the easiest pit stall, Mark. The issue with the final pit box, if you're coming in onto green, for instance, you can have people on your inside and make it very hard to get into that first pit box.
Yeah, that is one disadvantage, but at least you can work your way in there and get in close to that inside wall to have the good run. By the look of it, you're 100% right, Carl. Most of these guys have just come in for fuel and maybe a fine tune, maybe put a turn or take a turn out here. So to really stable those, cut new tyres down a bit.
That is it. They've got 5 sets of tyres, of course. So they start on one set, so they get 4 changes during the race. So a few people might just take advantage of that, just to get a slight tweak to the adjustments. Of course, we do run a fixed setup in the ANZCAR Cup Series, but it's a sort of hybrid version. So that every driver has to start on the same exact setup, and then when the first green flag stop happens, they're allowed to come down pit lane and change whatever they're allowed to change in the pit stops. So usually the bump and the tyre pressures. I don't think you can add tape. So I'm just trying to think if a tape's available. Of course, what we say about tape is just adding a little bit of tape over the radiators just to make the car a little bit more aerodynamic. But I don't think these ones have that option on them.
No, I don't think they can play with the tape. It's just basically suspension rebound and tyre pressures, mate. That's about the limit tonight.
Because that tape can be a mighty, mighty tool if you get that advantage of a little bit of duct tape on a super speedway.
I'll tell you what, though, we've seen, just looking down the field, Andrew Dyson started in 15th and he's gone back 2 spots after these pit stops. But we've seen him up there earlier. Don't count him out towards the end of this race to be right up there. Lachlan Urquio had a good run last night in the Thunder, so he'll be looking to make some spots again tonight, and he's down in 13th. But some very good racing, some great bump racing, typical super speedway plate racing, mate.
Yes, we are in for an absolute treat here with the old restrictor plates in action. And as I was about to say before that wreck interrupted me, Mr. Mark, Christopher Tomlin's car, what ship has he got on the side of it?
Let me have a look here on my...
Okay, we'll see
my,
how good Mark is.
Well, don't forget, I went from the Navy to the Army, and I know that these ships that they've got are current ships, so some of them wouldn't have even been around.
It's not a current ship. It's a ship from your time, Mark. I mean, it's not a sailing ship, but I mean, it's a little bit more modern.
That there is the old HMAS Derwent, the Fighting 50, the Destroyer Escort.
Ooh, you have got that one.
Mate, I served a lot of time on the old Fighting 46, HMAS Parramatta, and I know that silhouette anywhere.
Nice indeed. And had a few fish. If I can speak, a few sister ships as well. The River class, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That they were all the rivers. So the Derwent, Parramatta, Swans, Stewart. So yeah, the old DEs. Mate, they were a great old British ship, and I know you're British, and I must admit at that time I would have rather been on a British ship than the FFGs and the DDGs.
Well, as I said, it is a little bit past your time with those ships, of course, Mark. So, it's not quite a canoe or a sailing ship, but it's nice to see some of the modern stuff too.
I'm a little bit lost with Kobe's car. I'm just not sure what type of aircraft that is, mate. It doesn't have a prop at the front.
Doesn't have it's not got 4 wings and a prop. Oh, what's going on here? We're about to go back to green flag racing here. It's the green machine. And Toby Stent on the inside. He's going to be the leader here. Drops the power nice and early, gets away, and he has got his teammate on the high, and then Jake Nankervis just behind him. It's very handy for Atari and Black Arrows.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I wonder if Jamie will play nicely and let Daniel down in, but Jamie got a little bit of a better start than Daniel, and we can see there he's just opened that door a little bit and allowed Daniel down, as we see Jones now go up and connect with his sparring partner, and Otto also up there on that high line. Andy Barber back there in that Mustang behind the 3 other Mustangs in front there. So it's really a Mustang build up that front end at the moment.
Absolutely, they've got some good positions at the moment. Watch Gary Wellman as well. He's got up there once more in the Sim Boys entry. We know how quick Gary is on a super speedway, so he's going to be looking at trying to make some moves. Will the separator make his job? Make his name say proud? Mr. Michael Skerlock, he's sitting back there too, and he can get a run. But on the high line at the moment, there was a mega run happening in the background that got cut off a little bit of Pearson, Dyson, and Foster. Looks like JCW's got onto the tail of that one as well, so watch out for a third one coming up here soon.
Yeah, I'm just looking down the timing screen, Carl. You'll be happy that the first, well, happy but not happy, the first Toyota in the field is Jai Schultz in the 27. and he is in 7th place. So it's good to see all three mates up into the top 10 at the moment.
Absolutely, it's nice to see a nice selection of cars up there. It was always good to see. And I was about to say, I mean, it's even more tricky with the plane on the side of Kobe's car because it's a man, it's not a plane. You picked the wrong car on that one, Mark.
On Kobe, sorry, yeah, on, oh, yeah, I knew who I meant.
Yeah, Luke Crumb.
Yes, Luke's car. I will let you into a little hint, Carl. There is a photo of me in our pre-show tomorrow night. So the challenge Saturday night, I should say. So when you get to see the replay, you'll have to try and pick me.
Viewer discretion is advised for Saturday night. Disturbing images may be on display, obviously. Up the front, though, Toby Stent having a great run. It was Phil Otto who got up into the lead of the race. Phil Otto just got left on the lurch on the low side, though, because now that high side is pushing along. And those two cars from DPR and Foster and Josh Walden are flying along on the very high side. The third line is coming into fruition. The midline has got nowhere to go. And that's Dave Douglas and Gary Wellman. They're stuck in the middle at the moment with nowhere to go. That high line just had a rocket ship moment.
Yeah, you can see Jones jump up to that high line. He got stuck there in that middle field, but Pearson's now working in there and giving him a nice couple of little bumps, and we can see that high line starting to come back to that low line. I was just going to say, is Otto going to jump up, but he's left it too late to jump up, and Pearson and Jones have got a flyer of a run.
They really do at the moment. We've seen Jones leading a few laps. He's been up the front for a few times this race. Sorry, excuse me, up in this race. And he's back up there again. He's chosen the right line at the moment as Pearson and Dyson drop down and leave Jones in the lurch. And look at how quickly he falls backwards there. Like a stone, just drops back like there's a parachute in his car. That's how quickly it can go with a draft.
Now, the dangerous thing here is we've got 4 Natari cars there. If the Natari boys in that Black Arrows car can link up, they will be an absolute weapon for the last closing stages of this race. And I would say these guys are probably hoping that it goes green all the way, because there is some great racing now. We've got that high line slowly starting to get that high groove in, and we can see it starting to work.
Those grooves are working very well at the moment. We're seeing a multitude of different lines as well, and there's some really good options out there, but also you can easily make the wrong choice too.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see those purple wheels of Jackson. Jackson started back in 38th on that restart, and he's up into the top 10.
Having a flyer there, working his way back up through the field nicely. So it's a little nice rubbing going on there from O'Shea and Urquio, getting very, very close together. But at the front, it's now Toby Stent getting another huge push. And importantly for him, there are 2 Natari cars, 1 Black Arrow and 2 Natari cars. There are 5 cars linked up here working together. We've got a car spinning in the background. Who was that going around on the low line? It was Luke Crumb, just getting around in turn 2. And I wonder if there was a little bit of contact there. And it looks like there may have been a bit of blue-on-blue action. So we'll have a bit of a look at this replay here. And getting up very close behind Gary Wellman, it looks like maybe Cody's just made a little bit of contact with his teammate there, and around they go. Not a huge amount of damage, though. That's the main thing. So no real damage on those cars, which is, well, it's a really, really important thing in a race like this.
Yeah, definitely. I was just going to say, can someone please tell Luke that the hard deck is 5,000 feet?
Yeah, he needs to put the afterburner on now to catch up, of course. And of course, you know what plane is on the side of his car, Mark.
I believe by the look of it, it's the FA18, but I could be wrong. Could because there has been some current makes, and it's one of three. It's either the F16, FA18, or the EA16 Gola.
And if you look at the bottom with the scoop at the bottom, it is an F16 there. So the FA18 has got a much flatter underside to it. So my skill of plane recognition coming in. Look, I mean, this is perfect for me. I mean, my love of military history and cars with military stuff on it works out perfectly for me, Mark.
Yes, it does. I didn't pay much attention. I was just knew who they were and trying to shoot them down.
Yeah, you just needed to know which ones you pointed the gun at. That was the
Yeah,
only
that's
thing.
it.
Yeah, that's it. A lot of people coming in pit lane now, coming in just to top up the tanks, and a few people might just change some tyres as well. We've got 43 laps remaining, of course, so it's not really a huge tyre wear track, but some fresh tyres can always give you a little bit of confidence. So everybody from Andrew Dyson down, so 8th down, have taken an extra pit stop. So that will leave Toby Sent, Daniel Hedershy, Gemini Curvis, Edward Foster, Joshua Carroll, and Ryan Jones, Phil Otto, the 7 cars that have left it out at the moment.
And that prediction has really come true, Carl. As you said, Toby Stent, Daniel Hedershy, Natari, Jamie Nankervis, Black Arrows, and basically working out of the same garage, and then Foster and JCW. Who's going to play nice and who's going to have the lead out of that group of 5 cars?
Well, it'd be interesting to see who they shuffle up there. If they get the opportunity to do that, of course. They have got 2 cars locked in at the moment in Daniel Hedershy and Toby Stent. So you know, if you're one of the people who are looking at the championship, they might want to try and get another car locked into the chase, of course, for the end of the year, or they could want to try and get the glory tonight. So it's you know, there's a little bit of tactics that could be involved there for sure. We are looking at Craig Rothie at the moment. Yeah, my brain went completely dead there, and I was screaming internally as my mouth was trying to catch up with me. The 300's having a fairly strong run tonight. He's up in P9 at the moment, just inside the top 10, and having a solid run out there as well. It's nice to see Craig in the NASCAR. He is a dab hand at the old V8, and we see him taking advantage of that on the oval side as well in the Australasian Supercar E Series, which is currently on its mid-season break. But nice to see him out in the Cup car tonight, and nice to see one of the Rogue Simsport entries out there as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just do a bit of promotion. Craig has actually been given a wild card for Saturday night's Weekend Warriors ANZAC Cup, mate. So good to see him being able to get into that race too.
Absolutely, that will be grand for them, and it'd be nice to see them hooking up with each other. And quite a few of the Road Boys I know running in the Weekend Warriors, and wish them all luck as well. Of course, that is coming up tomorrow night for the Jules over on Checkered Flag E-Streaming. So if you want to catch all the action from the ANZAC round of the Weekend Warriors, the Jules are tomorrow night, Mark, at
8:15. The broadcast will go live with duel number 1, and that's going to be one hell of a duel. We've got Toby Stent, Daniel Hedershy, Andrew Dyson, all the top hard hitters in that inside lane duel. So it's going to be a tough one.
Absolutely, and the hardest hitter of them all is Mr. Matty Hunter will be in that one as well. So it's going to be a tough one for them to win.
Yeah, Matt starting off the rear. He's dusted off the cobwebs, and let's hope we can see him get through and get a reasonable starting position for Saturday night's Cup race.
Have to really learn how to drive first.
Remember, you put the right pedal down.
Yeah.
And you just ignore the rest. Just
right.
just steer it, and that's it. You only
Gonna-
need an accelerator and a steering wheel.
It's going to be a lot of steering and hope from me, I think.
We wish you luck with that one. We look forward to seeing the results of all that to come. And then, of course, on Saturday night, it is the big one. It is the Talladega round for the Weekend Warriors. It is the ANZAC Cup. And Mark, the time for that one.
Well, the broadcast goes up at 5:30 with some classic music and pictures from all our conflicts that the Australian and New Zealand's have been involved in, and we are live with pre-show at 5:55 with racing starting at 6:30.
Absolutely. We hope you can join us there for that on Checkered Flag e-streaming, of course. Not on Performance e-streaming, Checkered Flag e-streaming for that one. You should be able to find the link posted in the chats as well if you want to make sure you can hit the subscribe button for that one. We're about to go green here, though. Into the restart zone goes Toby Stent, puts his foot down, and we're back to green flag racing. 42 laps remaining here at Talladega. It is round number 10 of the ANZCAR Cup here on Performance e-streaming. And look at Ryan Jones. He's slotted himself between Joshua Carroll Walden and Edward Foster, and he made them go to the low line. He just darts out now, but he tried to stop them linking up. Couldn't make it work quite well, but he decided he wants to be up in the front because he wants to be leading this race. He jumps up to the high line, gets in front of Andrew Dyson, who is pushing along at the moment. Ruben Phelpson just behind him.
He's dropped down and split those 5 cars up that are working together. So Jones, we may see him dive back up to the high line through the tri-oval here, and that will give Nankervis, Foster and JCW a chance to join up with those 2 Natari cars up front.
Yes, indeed, it's very, very tight. They're going very, very quick as well. 312 kilometers per hour. They are hitting in their stride right now. That is fast enough for most people. But these guys will want to go a little bit faster than that as well. Some great pace coming in at the moment. The Highline's just started flagging a little bit, started falling back, as well as Ryan Jones has slotted himself in between the Natari and the Black Arrows team cars. There is up in P3 at the moment, and he's just going to try and be a thorn in their side for this race.
We can see Ruben there coming down that back straight, then giving Dyson a good hard push. But his teammate is further back there on starting that 3rd row, the 62 of Pearson. And it looks like he's starting to get a few cars decide to jump up there. 39 laps to go. I still reckon it's a little too early to be trying to go 3 wide here.
Yeah,
Phelps, sorry, I was just going to say, Phelps has done a great job in pushing Dyson to the lead.
You tell that to a racing driver, it's too early to go 3 wide, and they'll just tell you to shut up. They know what they're doing. They don't have the most they don't have the preservation of life as most people. Racing drivers, they like to go fast. They like to try and be up there and be fighting, and they're doing a good job of that at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I can see. I know Toby. Oh, this outside line, that third line, is got an absolute flyer. Pearson may end up coming to the lead of the race here. 3 wide through the tri-oval over the strike. Is Pearson going to be able to do it? Pearson has taken the lead of the race from about 9th spot.
Absolute flyer there. All of a sudden, that high line came alive. They got one heck of a push, and that was from Dylan O'Shea, giving Pearson a nice long push there, giving him an extra couple of 100 horsepower behind that car and pushing him along nicely. Up to the front goes the 62. Really, really strong run, and that push came almost from nowhere.
I just can't believe it. Someone please check the insides of those cars and make sure they ain't got a blue bottle in there, because that was an absolute flyer.
Absolutely, just side draft, and the push behind just worked perfectly there. Everything came together, and all of a sudden, the power and the pace came into it. This time around, it's Ruben Phelps. He's managed to get down on the low line and get into the lead of this race. Up 35 positions. The Flying Kiwi is doing just that.
And people said Kiwis can't fly.
Well, they've been proven wrong numerous times. We've seen them flipping around a few times, but the sustained flight, Ruben Phelps has been a master of that recently. And we've got, oh, we're going to have a wreck, I think. No, they just make it through. Who was that in the background? Just having a big moment. It was a red car, and it was Shane Bowen. Just got up into the ball, just got a little bit loose, but managed to keep it in the right direction. That was a scary moment for him. As we see the replay just here, just gets up behind Luke Trahere. He's got Gary Wellman just behind him, and Norman Clark just behind him. And Bowen get just a little bit loose in the corner, and all of a sudden, it's a holding on for dear life moment, because when that happens, you do not have long to react. Up into the wall they go. Just cuts the momentum of the car, slows it down by a good 15 odd kilometers per hour. And well, lucky there were not too many cars behind then, because that could have been a big accident. Well held by everybody, including Shane. As Joshua Garrett-Walden gets very loose coming across the tri-oval. Just about saves it. That car was going sideways as it came up to the line. As we've got a big wreck at the back. As Lachlan Urquio gets T-boned. Okay, we've got a bit to digest just here, because I reckon that the start of that may have been because of that checkup from Joshua Carroll-Walden, and it's caused a bit of a checkup, and then the big wreck has happened. So Paul Jackson and Joshua Carroll-Walden, they just make contact coming onto the tri-oval, checks up everybody behind. You see there, Joshua Carroll-Walden sideways as they come to the line, and then the checkup starts happening behind, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. As we'll watch here, so just that little bit of contact there, and as you were saying before, Mark, that little bit of contact not square on is what caused that car to get loose. That's caused a big checkup behind, and that's caused Luke Georgeson to sort of run up high, Norman Clark to have to slam on the brakes, and then everybody behind has got very loose, and a big accident has happened.
Yeah, it looks like
So you
Norman's
see,
just been squeezed a little bit there.
yeah,
He's jumped on the brakes. The 20 of Brad Finley has just rubbed across the back of Norman. That sent Norman down into Lachlan Urquio, and then it's all started to happen. Dave Douglas rubbing along the back of Kobe. Matty Ray there. He's been lucky and got out of it by the looks of it.
but his teammate Lachlan Urquio not so lucky, as he gets just T-boned by, that might be Tom Neal, and that's going to be a few cars out of this race now, unfortunately. That could be a couple of cars out of tonight's running, and that could see our first set of retirements. And I believe we have lost Michael Skurlock from that incident, so that is the first retirement of the night. 56 laps into the race, though, without having a retirement. That's a fairly good run for everybody. Of course, we would like to see it go to the very end, but yeah, so that's shaken things up a fair bit. Now, Jai Schultz, Christopher Tomlin decided to stick it out. They've stayed out in this caution. Everybody else has come down pit lane, unsurprisingly, because that will mean they can make it to the end on fuel. Jai Schultz, Christopher Tomlin will need to come into pit lane again unless we have a massive spat of cautions.
Yeah, just watching Norman Clark. He's taken 4 tyres, and the crew are out there with the hammers and trying to battle those panels down back straight. A little bit of damage on the left as we see the slide hammer go under and pull that guard back off the tyre. So he should be okay so long as he gets back out before that pace car comes around and goes across the strike to close that pit lane.
Yeah, crucial to get that one done, and get that sort of put through. Just looking, and Luke Georgeson looks like he has got a drive-through penalty. He's got a black flag, so his night has just gone from bad to worse. So he will have to get some repairs done. And when he gets back out, he might have to serve a drive through once we go back to green flag racing. But there's a few cars now in pit lane, just getting those, getting the old lump hammer out, getting the cars beaten back into shape, getting the 100-mile-per-hour tape on that, getting back out into this race. Currently, the only car I can see that is definitely out is Michael Skurlock, unfortunately. Everybody else looks like they're just getting those final repairs done. But it is Jai Schultz up in the lead at the moment. It is the 27, the newly christened 27 of Jai Schultz up there. And had a number change recently, so off with a 0 and on and down to 27. So just a little bit of weight reduction there for the car. And Christopher Tomlin up in P2 as well. So good position for 2 teammates to be in.
Yeah, definitely. And Norman Clark has had that car repaired, and he's back out on the race surface.
Looks like Luke Georgeson has also had to pull the car behind the wall. So we are down to 38 cars in the race, but all 38 cars are on the lead lap.
I was just going to go have a look at Lockie's car and see how much damage is done. Lockie seems like the nose is fairly straight. I just can't see the right side of the car at the moment to see how much damage was done from his T-bone. A little crease on the door, but nothing too much to worry about. So I'd say he's going to be good for getting back into the action as he closes in on the rear of the field.
Yeah, just hearing there's a little bit of confusion as the iRacing has just decided to change some positions and change the places of some cars from outside to inside lanes. So that's if you see some odd movements, then that's what's going on. And Christopher Tomlin's going to be the leader of the race. He's going to be on the inside lane for this one. The inside lane production car is on the inside. And the outside as well, actually.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and on the inside and outside.
Must be their new side projects. But we're coming back to the green flag. And of course, 32 laps to go in this race. This is where people are going to turn up the aggression, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, 35 to go. It's probably another 10 laps, and then you'll see the aggression go up yet another notch with some of those heavy hitters sitting there. Dyson Pearson is probably the best guys there, but looking further back, you still got Stent, Hedderscheid, Foster, and then Curvis, and JC's not too far back there either. But also there's the 3 Southern Stars esports cars further back. So we've got teammates starting to get together.
We have indeed. We're about to go back to green flag racing. It's race number 10 of 36 of the ANZCAR Cup here at Talladega. We have got 32 laps remaining. Strap yourself in. Get close to the edge of the seat because we're about to see some great action here. Away they go. Tomlin and Schultz leading away. Watch out for those DPR cars behind. They're going to want to link up very quickly too. Remember, Schultz and Tomlin won't be able to make it to the end on fuel from here. So they are going to be hoping for a few more cautions, I would imagine. But they have got track position at the moment, and they're taking advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely. And we can see Pearson staying up on that high line with O'Shea in behind him. And it looks like O'Shea's going to push him back to the lead if they can get that outside line working again.
Absolutely. Former teammates of course, so they know each other quite well. So working together well at the moment there, and just keeping a good position. We've seen O'Shea do some mega pushes through this race as well, so not a bad person to have in behind you. As we're keeping our eyes on the further down the pack, and everybody's in order at the moment. It's Neil Pearson in the lead of the race now. He slots himself down into P1 with Dylan O'Shea just behind. Then on the high line, it's Luke Trahere now taking the place of the front runner. He has got Craig Roffey in just behind him with Edward Foster. So some good cars there. It was a little bit of a moment right at the tail of the field, but everybody kept it in the right direction as we are running along nicely here. Trehair drops down to the front, drops into the lead of the race. So does Roffey, jumping into P2 here. That Highline had a mega run as Phil Otto gets very close to Neil Pearson there, just swapping a little bit of paint between the two cars. Look at how close they are getting. They are starting to push up with a little bit more of an aggressive nature than before. We saw Foster wanted to get to that low line, and I think maybe he had clear, and then all of a sudden saw a car on his inside, finding that not to be the case. He drops down onto the low line. This is going to give Phil Otto the run as Phil Otto goes up into the wall. He just about holds that one, but a little bit further down the pack, that's going to cause the accident.
Oh, Dave Douglas involved. Two inside lane production cars getting to get each other again back there, and nowhere to go. And looks like Matty Ray's involved in that. Dave Douglas, I will say, is the worst off of those drivers that are involved in that, because he took a heavy knock.
Big accident. Toby Stent as well, turning Dave Douglas. So there was a bit of a checkup from Andy Barber, and that caused a big checkup. So I think somebody just put on the brakes as they saw saw the smoke coming from Phil Otto. He just about saved it, but unfortunately there was a bit of a check behind.
And again, you can see that. Sorry, Carl. I was just going to say, you can see there what I was saying about not bumping square on. Perry was just off to that right a little bit, got into that rear bumper, and that's ever so slightly turned Phil, and that's put him into the wall.
And yeah, that was fairly messy down the pack as well, as people were just trying to avoid those incidents. And you can see with Matty Ray there, the 83 just gets clipped from the side as somebody is just trying to slow down, and nowhere to go there. And Phil Otto up on the high side, and yeah, lots and lots of debris as well flying off the cars. It doesn't look to be too much damage on some of these cars, which is good news. But there will be a few less pristine cars in the pack after that one.
I might just duck down to the SRM garage while they come into the pit lane and see if I can get a report on Matty Ray's car for you.
Okie dokie. So we are in caution again. We've got 27 laps remaining. They're going to form up. A few cars decided to come down pit lane and get some repairs done. Jai Schultz has popped in as well to get some fuel in that car too. So that's good for them to be able to get their fuel stop done. I'm sure they would have liked a little bit more green flag running to get that. But you see here the accident again. Dave Douglas gets really flung up there. And yeah, it's never fun when things like that happen. And one of the wheel arches there just bouncing along the road as well as the new damage model is coming into effect as well, which is nice to see. The debris off the cars. And then the carnage afterwards as well. So a fair few lucky stories in that wreck, but unfortunately on the other side, a fair few unlucky ones as well. So that's going to thin out the field a little bit more. Edward Foster is going to be leading the restart, up 39 positions tonight, the 53. He is not a huge fan of restrictor plate races. Well known not to be a huge fan of them, but he's having a fairly decent run here tonight.
All right, Carl. After that nice little run down there to their garage and back up here, up those flights of stairs. Matty Ray, 17 seconds. He's got that repaired and back out. Lachlan Urquio, he's suffering still a little bit from that early accident. Hasn't been able to get everything repaired on that car. And Ruben Phelps' car is clean.
Okie dokie, and I think we've got Phil Otto down in the care centre, so we might just bring him up. Number one, Phil Otto, welcome to the broadcast booth, mate. We'd rather have you up here in better circumstances. Big accident there we saw, and look, just looked at the wrong place at the wrong time for yourself.
Yeah, I was up the front for once. I thought I actually had a chance to have a really good, and I was going straight, and all of a sudden I'm in the wall. So
Yeah,
I don't know what happened. So I'm not going to say anything till I find out what happened. So.
no, absolutely. Always a wise thing to keep the cool head until you see what happens. You were having a solid run out there tonight, though. It's a shame to see you out at this stage of the race. Are we going to see you back out on track, or is your car done?
No, I've got about 10 minutes required, and I'm going to be slow as a wet week, so I think that's me done.
Oh, that is
unfortunately.
a big shame indeed. It's one of those drivers that we cheer on, and look, a shame to see you out so early. But a strong run tonight, though, so take some consolidation from it. Are we going to see you back out in the Warriors on the weekend?
I'm busy. I've got stuff I've got to do on the weekend, so I don't think I'll be on the Warriors this weekend. So, unfortunately, so
oh well, we will hopefully see you back on track in the near future and with some better luck to boot.
Absolutely, I'll be raring to go.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, boys.
I was just going to say to Phil, I'll kick Matt later for throwing that banana peel out there.
Thanks, mate. Bye, boys.
Exactly. Phil, I know they're the pilot of the #1 car. Shame to see him out so early, but always nice to have a bit of a chat to Phil, one of the gentlemen of the grid, and always a pleasure to have a chat to him. Hopefully, though, next time it will be in better circumstances.
Yeah, he's one person that he doesn't really let things get to him. He accepts what happens is what happens, and he's always a pleasant gentleman to talk to.
Absolutely, and as I said, having a strong run here tonight, but unfortunately just got caught in the wrong position with that bump draft, and we've seen that happen a few times, especially in this current generation of car. You have to be square onto the rear to make it work. Pace car going to be pulling back in. 26 laps remaining here. Well, lap 64. We are getting to the end of the race very, very quickly.
Yeah, and look who's out in front. The man that started dead last. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to jinx him. So he's definitely the biggest mover in the field from 40th to 1st as we come down to take the green flag again.
When will he drop the loud pedal? He's waiting. We're into the restart zone. He's going to wait until the very end and gets away very, very gently there for Foster, because he's got a teammate up on that high side. I'm sure he would like to link up with JCW. Car back there. I think Adam Malone just having a little bit of connectivity issue and blinking, and that's going to be disconcerting for the rest of the pack. Having a car right up the front, having a few blinking issues. Of course, that's a issue for iRacing. When cars lose their connectivity, they start to blink in and out of existence, and it can be very, very tricky to know where they're going to reappear. Hopefully that will start fixing itself up very, very quickly. Luke Traher drops the line line, gets in front of Foster now. It's Foster. It's Traher, Foster, Anastakis on the low line. High line is Carol Walden, Adam Malone, and everybody's just trying to get back into positions a little bit
very wide further back.
Very wide. As I think it's O'Shea, Stent, and I can't see who's on the low line. They're getting very close to each other as well.
Brenda Henderson up there in that lead pack. That's the third car in the 81, Carl.
Absolutely, as we've got to come around.
Is this the big one? Jones involved there. Stevie Dub again down on the infield. He's not had a good night tonight.
And was that Adam Malone?
Yes, it's Adam Malone there, mate. Yep.
And yeah, and just contact between himself, Toby Stent, Mirko Dortmund gets heavily contact with that one, and then a whole heap of cars in the background get contacted as well. I saw Norman Clark getting a fairly heavy whack with that one too. So that's going to thin out the herd a little bit there, as we've had quite a few cars involved in that contact, and that's going to not help their night for sure. So we see the replay here as Malone goes around and gets up into the number 11 of Ryan Jones, clips the side of Jones, and that sends him around. Ryan Jones with his epic run of luck recently. Norman Clark gets a heavy hit and loses the whole front end of that car. Big shame for the 09 Norman Clark. Again, just not in the right place at the right time. And not much you can do in those situations. And just a heavy odd whack there. Ryan Jones gets clipped. Doesn't look like there's too much damage to the 11.
That there would have done some damage, Carl. That second hit, lucky not to get collected a third time.
So there's a lot of chat going on at the moment, and there's a lot of tense drivers out there, as can be expected when there's been some accidents out on track. As people are just going to get forming up, so this is going to see a whole heap of cars popping down pit lane as well.
Yeah, again, some of these guys will be coming in from that last accident that they were involved in, getting some more repairs done. I'm just trying to see. The 42 of Urclio is in the pit lane. He'll be coming in to try and get some more damage repaired.
Dave Douglas, Ryan Jones, Tom Neal, Shane Bowen, Adam Malone, and Norman Clark obviously in there. But Norman Clark's going to be in there for an awful long time, I feel. His night is pretty much run in the 09 Black Arrows. They're going to have to do a whole lot of repairs to the front of that thing, and I don't think it will be factory new again when it comes out of pit lane.
And just looking at Darren Lobb's car coming, and he's missing out the right-hand front guard, so he's going to be well and truly off the pace, and the Arrow will not be helping him there.
No, but it can, if you can tuck yourself behind another car, it's not as detrimental. So, it's possible to make it somewhat work, but you need to be very lucky and have some good people to work with you.
Yeah, definitely. And just having a look at Stevie Dubb's car, we've seen him involved, or not actually physically involved, but involved in trying to scatter the miss at everything that's been happening, and his car looks reasonably straight also. So let's hope Stevie Williams can get back up into the top half of this field, because I'm not used to seeing him down there in 26th position.
He's very good at getting up inside the top 10 and keeping that car in a good position. So that could be a good run for him. Just looking at the top 10 at the moment, it's Luke Traher, Edward Foster, Parry Anastaka's having a great run. He's got Craig Roffey next to him as well. So the two Rogue Sim Sports entries are very close to each other. That could be very useful for the end of the race. Darren McKenzie, Ruben Phelps up there as well. We saw McKenzie get caught up in one of those earlier wrecks. Nice to see him recovering and get himself back up there. Brenton Henderson having a solid run on his return in P7 at the moment for SRM, with Joshua Carroll Walden. Toby Stent is up in P9, and then Daniel Hederscheid rounds out our top 10 at the moment.
And just some information on Brenton Henderson too, that some you may not know. He's actually been accepted into the Australian Army, and he's just currently waiting on a intake date. So again, Brenton, thanks for going in and taking on something that you've dreamt of doing for a long time, mate. So well done to him.
Absolutely brilliant stuff there, and look, it's always nice, a great career path to get into as well, and some of us are envious of that. But no, it's good to see people getting involved and getting in there, and well done on him as well, because there is a lot of stuff you have to get through to get actually into the services as well. So got to be able to do a little bit of running and things like that, which is, it's not our forte these days, but it's a great thing to do as well. So
mate,
good luck with this game.
In my day, it was just get drunk, knock over the head, and next day you woke up and you're climbing square rigging.
Absolutely, they were taking you off to the new world, weren't they? off to go and find some new countries, things like that. Yeah. Of course, Mark, started sailing at the age of about 5 years old back in the early hundreds.
In the 1800s, mate.
Yeah. Mark, of course, a veteran of the Battle of Waterloo.
Okay, that's enough. We've got a race here, and it's definitely heading up. We've only, when we go back green, 21 laps to go. So, again, the 53 car, I'm not going to say his name, will be looking to get back out in the front and lead this race for the rest of it to the checkered flag.
Watch out for Luke Treherne on the inside, though. Luke he's had a bit of a dry patch recently. He's had a long time since we've seen him in victory lane. He would surely love to get one under his belt tonight. He has got that opportunity, but so have around about 35 other cars tonight. We've got 36 cars on the lead lap, and we're about to go back to green flag racing. It is Talladega. It is the ANZCAR Cup, and we have 21 laps remaining. We go back to green flag racing. Who is going to get the victory? We're soon going to find out.
Great start. We've got guys in further back in the field touching each other again. So Foster has got a great push there from Craig Rocky. That outside line is really starting to work. I'm just wondering if we're going to see those three Mataris all drop down, but then Foster drop to the low line too.
You can see that in the background. Watch out for that third line as well. We've seen how quick that can come up when it's got Neil Pearson in the lead, and it is once again Neil Pearson in the lead with O'Shea and Andrew Dyson there, and they're having a flyer up the high line at the moment, trying to work their way to the front of the field. 19 laps remaining here.
Yeah, you can see that middle line really working well. That is the fastest line on the track at the moment. We've seen those Natari guys in the...
we've got a wreck happening, Mark. We've got a wreck in the background. And that is a very big one indeed. As the 231 of Paul Jackson's gone up. Quentin Matty Ray. Or is that Henderson? And that's Matty Ray. Stevie Dubb as well caught up in that one.
Jamie Nick Purvis.
Incident. And there was a sort of secondary accident happening in front as well. Luke Crum got caught up with Jamie Curvis, who was pointing in the wrong direction by that time. Luke Crum just got caught and sent up into that area, so a lot of cars caught up in that one, and that's going to be a fairly hefty repair bill for those cars.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Matty Ray's copped at both front and rear.
Yeah, the 83 of Matty Ray is not having his best season so far. Started off the year well with the truck championship from the Warriors, but he's been in just in the wrong place at the wrong time so many times recently, and that has been costly for his usual trick of securing top tens. We see Stevie Dubb circulating as well. He took a fairly big whack in that one. Quite a few cars are looking relatively healthy though after taking those whacks. So obviously they've got some damage, but they're not as sort of severe as we've seen in the past. So they're sort of holding on quite well. They're going to have to get a few little patches done, a few little plasters, but they're holding on relatively well here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Stevie Dubb's car, for the amount of action he's seen tonight, he's only that left front that's looks like the bonnet's just creased that ever so slightly. So the boys will get out there and push that bonnet down. He probably take tyres here. We've been a little bit sideways, but it doesn't look like he is. Just looks like he's probably going to get those repairs done that he needs.
Gonna have to get the old hammers out on that one and get it back to some form of strength. So going to be a lot of little repair jobs going on throughout the field, and there are a couple of drivers I think that have taken the have got the incident limits up as well. Luke Crum, Kobe Jordan, have hit their incident point limit of 12, so they're going to have to serve a drive-through. Same as for Norman Clark. If he manages to get that car revived, he'll have to come through for a drive-through as well. Of course, the incident points collect when you make contact with other cars, and as that happens, or make contact with the wall, or cut the circuit, things like that. If you get 12 incident points, you end up with a drive-through. 17 incident points, and you end up disqualified. So 17 laps to go here, Mark. This is we're going to have a dash to the end. It's still 17 laps though, and it's still Talladega, so that's a long way to go.
Yeah, and I guess the spot you really want to be right at the moment is in that top 6 because it's not. We normally see the incidents happen behind that on those within these last 17 laps. But it's a tough front half of the field with Foster, Ruffy, Phelps, Carroll Warden, Stent, Heddershide, Neil Pearson, Parry, Dylan O'Shea, and Nigel Pearson. And just outside the 10 in the 11th is Andrew Dyson. So it's I will say that our race winner will be coming from the top 12 because Luke Trahere is in 12th.
So in the top 12 at the moment, we have 9 race winners. We have 9 previous race winners. So there's a lot of people up there hungry for another victory underneath them. But there are also a couple that could taste victory for the first time in the ANZCAR Championship tonight as well. So it's great to see just how much competition there's been this season, and it's great to see some new faces that we haven't seen for a while up the front, back up there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm very impressed with Roffy. Come from 29th spot. Well, the top 3 started in the back half of the field. We've got Foster in starting 40th, Roffy 29th, Phelps 36th, JCW 12th, 18th, and Toby Stent started back in 12th. The pole sitter is actually Daniel Heddershide, sitting in 6th place. So some great movers through this 90-lap race.
Absolutely, there's been some big movers out there. Parry Stacker's up 20 positions, and Brenton Henderson up 23 positions as well. So some big moves throughout the field. It's what we like to see. It's what can happen on the super speedways as well, and restricted plate racing tends to do that, doesn't it, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. Look, people say you've got to be lucky in these super speedway restricted plate races, but you've also got to make your own luck and drive sensibly, trying to avoid the rubbish accidents that happen around you. And you can see these guys have got to the lead and really consolidated their run.
Absolutely, and pack racing is a very different style of racing. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it is a very different skill to have as well. And it can bring some really good results for some people that don't always have them. The short track runners that aren't as quick on a short track sometimes have a little bit more pace on the super speedways, and vice versa. So it does bring a different style of driving to the table. We're coming up to the restart zone. 16 laps remaining here tonight. Who is going to get victory? We'll find out very, very shortly. It is the ANZAC Memorial Round of the ANZCAR Cup here. It is race number 10 of 36 at Talladega. Who will taste victory tonight? Who will taste defeat? We'll find out in just 16 laps as they get into the restart zone and we go back to racing here at Talladega. Foster deciding to go up high very quickly. He's gone up in front of Roffy there. That's going to be a Phelps opportunity to take advantage of that low line. Foster's got a teammate with Toby Stent back there as well on the low line. Up high, he has got Joshua Carroll-Walden and Daniel Heddershide as well. So quite a few Atari cars up the front of the field. A few DPR cars as well. We've got Rogue Simsports with 2 cars in the top 10 at the moment with Ariana Stackers and Craig Roffey. So the teams are starting to work their way to the front, and they'll really want to be connected for the end of this race as they get a little bit loose in the corner. Toby Stone jumping up high now. That squeezed Parry Anastasiakis, I think it is, up onto the high line with nowhere to go. He's stuck a little bit in the high line. A little bit of contact with himself. Toby Stone just slight scrape there. They're really trying to get in on each other. Parry Anastasiakis knows he needs to get down into a position where he can get some help right now. Otherwise, he's going to fall back, tumble all the way down the field. That's what's happened to Ruben Phelps. He has fallen from the lead of the race. He's fallen all the way down into P20. He's just tumbling down after losing that draft. The Tari cars are linking up. You've got Foster, Carol Walden, Haddershine linking up. You've got Toby Stent on the low line. Will they be able to get four cars strong? They're three wide in the background, though, fighting very hard. Neil Pearson on the low line in the middle. I can't see who that is. It's Parry Anastasiakis in the middle. Up on the high line, the Natari cars link up once more. So we've got a battle now between the low line and the high line. Low line's getting a good run. Neil Pearson with Dylan O'Shea and Andrew Dyson getting a good run. Watch Darren McKenzie, he's coming along fast. Foster's looking to drop down low, try and block that low line from the advance. He doesn't do it in time. He loses the chance to stop that low line progressing. That could be costly as the low line power their way past. Low line has pushed out a huge lead now, up about 5 to 6 positions. They are really going along at the moment. That low line has got a huge head of steam. High line is coming along nicely as well. High line is pushing up quickly. As we carry on here, as the racing continues here at Talladega.
Got a lap car coming up too very shortly through Tri-Oval, Carl. So we can see Foster getting down close to that inside line, and Pearson moves up to block that move off. Very dangerous, very dangerous move there.
As Norman Clark just keeps on the low side, he just keeps out of everybody's way. Neil Pearson was offering himself up to the gods of being turned there, doing that kind of move. I imagine he'll get away with it at the moment as we've got 12 laps remaining, but come towards the end of the race, that kind of thing will earn you a quick trip to the barriers.
Yeah, I say he was very lucky not to meet the man in the moon then. But as you said, unfortunately that high line has dropped off a little bit. They need to just settle down again and get a run. We've still got 12 laps to go as we go past the strike this time by.
And they're starting to get that pace back. Look at the momentum shifting for Natari cars in a row. They've got a good position at the moment. On the low side, it's Neil Pearson for DPR. Dylan O'Shea in RK Simulated. In the RK Simulations car, of course, he is a former teammate of the DPR team. So he's working well with them at the moment. Andrew Dyson at the tail of those. And then you've got Darren McKenzie. He is in position with Andy Barber at the moment, so they are in a good position for Skypoint. We'll keep our eyes on the front because we've got 11 laps to go. Still a long way in this race. 11 laps around Talladega. We often sort of have on over races. 11 laps does not seem like long. Talladega, though, it's a very long track indeed. About a 50-second lap time. So we are still a few minutes away from finding out the victor. Those laps will count down very quickly. Who is going to have the charge at the end? We'll find out. Oh, someone up very high there. Just makes contact as Dave Douglas goes around and the wreck happens in the background.
And we stay green? Yes, we stay green.
We've stayed green. So we'll try and have a little look at that one in a moment. But I think that was between Dave Douglas and Ruben Phelps. And around he goes into Nigel Patton. And there's a big wreck, but they'll keep pointing in the right direction there. So we'll have a quick look at that one while we can. Jumping to the replay. And a little bit of contact there. Dave Douglas makes the contact, tries to push Ruben Phelps. And they get loose and down goes Dave Douglas into the 10, into Stevie Dub once again.
Sorry,
and
Carl.
That's happened. Meanwhile, up the front, we've got Foster pushing up, and he's got into the lead.
Yep, I was just going to say, that top line is really started to work again.
That high line is pushing. Will we see one of those Natari cars dropping down? Maybe two of them dropping to the front to try and cut off the DPRs. Oh, that happens, but around goes Toby Stent. The caution is going to come out this time round. Caution flag is flying as one of the cars goes flying through the air. Somebody got airborne in that one. A big wreck indeed, as there was contact between Stent and Pearson.
Big question now, though, Carl, does anyone come in for tyres?
We'll find out. I think track position is going to be key. Brenton Henderson got a huge amount of contact with that one. Unfortunately, that's his race run. So we see here what will happen is there'll be that contact between the Toby Stent and Neil Pearson. And there it is. And around she goes. And fair few cars get caught up in that one. Dylan O'Shea gets heavy hit there, gets launched up. Brenton Henderson, the 81, huge amount of impact there. Loses the whole front end of the car. The front end of that car goes flying, and Henderson's car is done and dusted. Unfortunately.
Yeah, some heavy damage there by those guys. Oh, excuse me. We both got it at the same time, Carl. It looks like Pearson's been able to get away reasonably lucky, and without a lot of damage on that front of that car after that bump into O'Shea. And the guys behind Dyson was able to pull it up. But back up the front, mate, we still got 3 Natari cars, and the black number 11 of Ryan Jones now has come up in the 4th place.
That's it. Ryan Jones is working his way back up there. We saw him going sideways not too many laps ago after having a bit of contact. But now he's worked his way back up in the field. We've got Craig Roffey up there in the 300, as well as the 144 of Parry Anastakis, the 2 Rogue cars up in 5th and 6th. Neil Pearson and Andrew Dyson for DPR in 6th and 8th, and Darren McKenzie and Andy Barber in 9th and 10th. So a lot of cars up there. The only solo out there is Ryan Jones in that group of cars, in the top 10 at least. He's the only car out there without any teammates, without any support for him. So he's going to hope to make some friends rather quickly. Gary Wellman just sitting outside the top 10 as well. Keep an eye out for that Simboys car, because we know how quick they are on super speedways. Luke Trahair working his way back up there as well. Brad Fenley having a solid run in the 20, and we've seen him have a couple of good results on the super speedways as well. The Aussie Beer Racing car could be in for a good night tonight. Still got Mirko Dornak in the race. He's currently sitting in P14, having a solid run tonight, keeping that car going in the right direction, and it's relatively unscathed, with Riley Curtis in just behind him as well. Matty Ray's in 16th position. We've seen him take a couple of big knocks, but he's still running, importantly, and if he's still running, he's still within a shout of getting inside the top 10. Adam Malone had a massive run through the field, up 22 spots in 17th spot. Lachlan Occhio in 18th position. We saw him pointing the wrong direction earlier on. Again, one of the other cars that's been a bit lucky. Jamie Nankervis is working his way back to the front after getting caught in a bit of a wreck earlier on. And Christopher Tomlin rounds out our top 20 tonight.
I've just seen in the chat there, Mr. Brad Allison. Welcome to the show, mate. Glad you could tune in. There's still not so much time left now for these guys, but it's good to see you being able to tune in. Brad was a regular on the both ANZCAR and Weekend Warriors, and he's decided to take a little bit of time off and go for a little jaunt around Australia. So hope the holidays are going well, mate, and it's good to see you being able to tune in tonight.
Absolutely, just a little jaunt. I mean, Australia doesn't take that long to drive around.
No, a couple of hours.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why they don't make a super speedway out of it. It would be the perfect length.
Might need a few fuel stops on the way.
That's because you're not driving frugal enough. You're driving around it in the wrong direction, you see. If you drive around it clockwise, is it, or anti-clockwise? I never remember. One of them saves you a couple of $100 on fuel. You don't love a country that's so big. It's cheaper to drive around it in one direction than the other one.
Yeah, but with the danger here, Carl, is that we've got the three Natari cars, then we've got Jones, then look on that outside line, we've got those two DPR cars of Pearson and Dyson there.
And
So-
also the two Road 64 cars as well, of
Yes.
Rocky and ANZCAR, they're together too. So they're in a prime position to work with each other at the moment. They're in a good spot to start pushing with each other. So Atari need to make this work. And if Ryan Jones is as aggressive as always, he could be in for a prime spot to lock himself into a really good position for this restart. So we're going to have 6 laps remaining here tonight. And it's going to be, well, a 6-lap sprint to the end. Watch out for the aggression levels. They are going to be turned up to 11, no doubt.
So we've just found out Brad's in my part of the world, in Kelly country. And so he's in Wangaratta at the moment. So we'll definitely have to catch up before long, Brad.
Easy name to mispronounce. So I'm glad you got that one, Mark. As pace car pulls in right now, and it's a long trek under pace car conditions. I've got to keep to a certain pace right now up to that restart zone. Foster's had a couple of restarts. He's got his eye in. He's got JCW on his outside, Daniel Hederscheid on the inside, and then Ryan Jones sitting back there and forth. Coming up to the Geico restart zone now. When does Foster put his pedal down? He waits and he gets down nice and smooth. Back up to speed. These cup cars will go. A slow climb back to 300 kilometers per hour. Up to 220, up to 230, 240, 250. This is where it starts to slow down as Edward Foster jumps up to the high side in front of JCW. Look at Ryan Jones, he's trying to get there. Daniel Hederscheid's left on the low side, can't quite make it work. Neil Pearson getting a run as well. Right now, they're all trying to get in position. Looks like Craig Roffey's down the inside. Daniel Hederscheid's in the middle. He's got nowhere to go. He's got no friends. He's stuck at the moment. He's going to plummet down the field. Foster and JCW working well. They're trying to keep up on the high side, but Jones has got his nose ahead right now. Jones is pushing ahead. Foster and JCW are stuck in an awkward spot as Neil Pearson and Ryan Jones push forwards to the front of the field. Look at the speed of those two cars.
So Foster's done the smart thing there. He's dropped down in behind Pearson to break Pearson and Dyson up. So that will not be helping him. But Foster's going to get left behind here. With Dyson being able to move back up around, Foster has got stuck there in no man's land. But now JCW and Foster's linking back up together. They're making 3 wide, they're spinning.
And the caution flag will come out as the wreck goes on. What happened there? We saw JCW going around. It looks like there may have just been a tiny bit of contact from the inside of JCW. No, it looks like Luke Trahere has just made a little bit of contact on the rear quarter panel of JCW, spun that car around, and we are in for a heavy wreck here. Watch it come through. Watch the 43 up on the high side, JCW in at the middle there, and it gets very tight there as they are 4 wide for a couple of seconds, and that does not usually end up working well, and it did not this night. And a fair few cars getting a huge whack in that one. That's going to be a fair few more cars going to the scrappers yard, I'm afraid.
Yeah, definitely. But this now also splits up those 2 DPR cars of Dyson and Pearson on the front row, and that will put Foster and my timing sheet still showing Jones.
Foster and Jones. So Foster and Jones, Roffey and Anastakis, Barber, McKenzie, Curtis and Fenley. So that's changed the top 10 quite a lot there. And quite a few fast cars, unfortunately, have been taken out in that one. Gary Wellman getting spun up there as well, getting into Hederscheid. And that has really clipped the wings of a fair few fast cars tonight.
Definitely. And, mate, I'm going to say we may even see overtime here tonight in the ANZAC race.
I would say that's a possibility, as we will be going to a green-white checker for the end of this race, I imagine. But yeah, that's really trimmed down the field. I think we're down to about 30 cars now. We've lost a fair few cars out of this race, unfortunately, and there's still a lot of damaged cars moving around, but they're not moving as fast as they did at the start. Yeah, there's been a fair few disqualifications too because of incident points limits. One of them is a driver that is not known for that, and that's Stevie Dub. He's been called out with the incident point limit, and that's taken him out of the race. Blake Delaney as well has hit his incident limit cap. Dave Douglas, another one of those drivers, taken out through incident points. Kobe Jordan's going to have to be very careful. He's sitting 1 point away from disqualification, so he's got to just keep his nose clean now to the end of the race.
Yeah, I didn't even see that sneaking up with Dave Douglas. He's been mixed up in a few things tonight, and it's unfortunate to see him out because he's one of the ones that I would have had some money on if we had the chance, because of the way he can push and work with the other guys around him.
Absolutely, he is a very good runner in the super speedway things. So it's it's a shame to see him out so early in this run and not having that chance to battle it out for the win as well. Well, it is it's two cars that have been dominating this season up in the front two positions. It's Dyson and Pearson. These two have been having a stellar start to their season, and they can continue it tonight if they can keep these two positions locked out. Could we see Foster getting up into winner's circle for the first time tonight? What about Ryan Jones? He's been the bridesmaid so many times these past few weeks. It could well be his night to actually get up to the top step. Craig Roffey has been having a solid run up in the top 10 tonight, really doing a great job with Parihanasakis there as well. Those two are in with a shout. They're two cars that are very, very clean. No damage on them at all from what I can see. They could be in for a shout too. What about Barber and McKenzie? Those two have just been sitting outside the top 10 tonight, just not worrying too much. They've been relatively quiet, but as we know on a super speedway, those quiet cars can soon come out of nowhere and come for a great victory. Riley Curtis up in P9, he's had a very eventful night, but he's managed to get it inside the top 10 for the finish. Brad Fenley there is too. As we are going to go to a green-white checker to round out this race. Of course, if you are new to the oval racing scene, well, first of all, welcome. We are glad to have you with us, but a green-white checker means it's just a bit of overtime, effectively. So the cars will have one last try to get to the line without caution. So we will have the green flag. They'll come around to the white flag. If we make it there without any wrecks, then we will make it to the end or make it to the checkered flag. If the yellow comes out, the race is over.
So, Matt, who do you want to put the curse on?
Oh, I don't know. Wouldn't be nice putting the curse on anybody. I always like to see new, fresh faces win. So not so like new as in brand new drivers, but as in drivers who don't usually win. It's always cool seeing them get up there. So, yeah, someone who is in that position would be cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'd like to see any one of these front six because they've driven a great race right throughout the race. And then again, we've got the car 20 there, Brad Finley, in the Aussie BE Motorsports. It'd be nice to see him finally get up. Kobe Jordan is there. Really, anyone that's on the lead lap has a great chance of winning this race. And green-white checker, it's going to be a battle and bumping all the way.
It is indeed. Kobe's got to be super careful though because he has just one incident point left. If he bangs onto the back of somebody, he could find himself out of this race very quickly. So it's going to be about keeping the car clean, keeping it safe to the end. Pace car is pulling in here. It's a DPR front row now. It is Pearson and Dyson up at the front once more. We've seen these two up the field a few times this season. They've been having a stellar job so far. Can they continue their run here at Talladega, or will we see a new face up to the front? We're going to find out shortly as they come to the restart zone. Pearson drops the pedal, and we are back to racing here at Talladega. Pearson gets a fairly solid lead. When will he jump up to the high line to get up with Andrew Dyson? He does it now. Foster keeping the low line at the moment, trying to get the side draft working as they come through turns 1 and 2.
He's done well there. Yeah, I was just going to say he's done well there to move Jones up the track to try and get in that slipstream, and he's done that. But look at Roffey and Akanakis, and I've got that wrong again, but too bad. It was some great racing here by these top 5 guys.
They are getting very close to each other indeed. Foster drops down in front of Roffey and Anastakis as well to take advantage of those 2 cars. They need to start working together because the front runners have got a huge gap at the moment. It's Pearson and Dyson in at the lead. They're coming up to the line. Can they make it without your caution flag coming out? Will we see the white flag? Will we see the green? Will we see the checkered flag tonight? It looked like it could be the case. Oh, bit of contact there between Dyson and Pearson. That's slowed them down, really checked them up. Foster has to go up high just to avoid it. That's given Roffey the chance. Now Ryan Jones is getting a huge run up to the front. Foster's been taken out a little bit. He's lost a huge amount of momentum. Neil Pearson's still holding up there. Ryan Jones drops down to the inside. They're trying to get speed up. They need to work together fast here because they are running out of space. This coming up to the end very, very quickly. Can Craig Roffey get the slingshot? He needs to get this working because it looks like Pearson's got it at the moment. They're coming up to the line, just a few short meters to go here, and we're going to find out who wins here at Talladega. It's looking good for Neil Pearson at the moment, with Andrew Dyson second and Craig Roffey in third. They cross the line, and it's going to be Pearson taking the win. It is indeed.
Great race there. Unfortunate that little check up in the front with between Dyson and Pearson, because if that didn't happen, it was on for that last lap, Carl.
Really was indeed, and they got so lucky that the cars behind them just sort of got caught right behind them. They got bottlenecked up there and could not do the slingshot round. And Neil Pearson brings the number 62 back to victory lane tonight.
Good to see the 300 car of Craig Roffey up there. Ryan Jones again up there all race just about, and again just can't get that first win of the season. So just looking where Foster ended up down in 11th, unfortunate for him. So now Curvis has done well to get back up into 7th place, mate. So some great results as we look at Pearson burn those good years up.
Absolutely a well-deserved victory there for the lucky 62. Ever since changing his number, he has absolutely been on fire here. Okay, let us, as the smoke fills the air of Talladega Super Speedway, as Neil Pearson enjoys a good burnout there. Let's run through the finishing order for tonight's race. It was Neil Pearson taking victory ahead of Andrew Dyson, P2. Craig Roffey brings it home for a top 3 finish tonight. Great job from him. Ryan Jones in 4th. Harry Anastakis comes home in 5th. Riley Curtis brings it home in P6. Good run from him. Jamie Curvis recovers up to P7. Lachlan Oakweir in 8th. 9th for Darren McKenzie. Andy Barber in 10th. As we roll over the page, it's Edward Foster dropping down to 11th after that bit of a check-up, with Ruben Phelps in 12th, Brad Fenley 13th, 14th for Tomlin, Stent in 15th, Neil 16th, Malone in 17th, Joe Schultz in 18th, 19th for Manny Ray, Kobe Jordan inside the top 20. It's Tristan Koch in 21st with Luke Crum 22nd. Shane Bowen brings it home 23rd with Darren Locke 24th, Joshua Carroll in 25th, 26th for Jackson, Trey Hare in 27th, 28th for Wellman, Hederscheid in 29th, and Stevie Dub in 30th spot. As we roll over the page, it's Dave Douglas, Blake Delaney, Mirko Dortnack, Norman Clark, Brenton Henderson, Dylan O'Shea, Nigel Patton, Phil Otto, Luke Georgeson, and Michael Skurlock out early, and that rounds out the 40 cars for tonight.
Yeah, some unfortunate incidents there. That's seen some guys removed from the server too with incident points, but so some great racing yet again every time we turn up to these races, mate, every week, week in, week out, there has been some great racing right throughout the field.
No, absolutely. We've been treated to some fantastic action. It's always a fun thing. We do like to see the good action, and well, we've been treated to it once again tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Ed would have liked to have been up there on that top step, but just unfortunate for him, it hasn't happened tonight.
Absolutely. He was biggest gainer of the race with 29 positions up in P11. Second biggest gainer was actually Craig Roffey, our man in third place with 26 positions gained in this race.
Well, mate, there are.
We're just waiting, Mark. So that's
Yeah,
right.
I was just going to say we're still just waiting on Craig Roffey to come into the green room.
So we'll just give them a couple of moments just to adjust themselves. And the drivers need to have a bit of a stretch and a bit of a yawn after a race like that, I'm sure.
And some of them may have needed to go do a Greg Murphy. So
that is it. The comfort break is always an important part of racing. We'll give it a couple more seconds, but that was such a close one at the end. Very close for Neil Pearson to lose it, of course, with that checkup as well. We'll have to talk to him and Dyson about that one. To Neil Pearson about that one, I'm sure.
I've just seen come up. Craig, just jump into the general chat, mate, and we can pull you up into the broadcast booth.
I think he's just joined the server, so I'll have to wait a couple of minutes before he can join any voice chats, unfortunately. So that is a lesson for future for people. Make sure to join the Discord server before you start the race, just in case. So what we will do is we will grab up our winner, because I can see there at the moment. So we'll just have a chat to our race winner tonight, of Neil Pearson. Car 62, Mr. Neil Pearson, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a win here at Talladega.
Thank you very much.
Well, Talladega can be a bit of a lottery, can't it? Tonight, it played off in your favour.
It did. Yeah, Dyson and myself. Really, I got to put this win down to him because, he just did the team thing and just pushed me all the way. And, everyone else didn't hook up really, and it got us through. But we nearly lost it coming to the white flag, but we just held on.
Well, that's what I wanted to touch on. I mean, it was all thanks to Dyson, and it was almost all hate to Dyson as well, as that little push at the start across the line got you really unsettled. You must have been thinking when that happened, oh, that's it, it's over.
I was actually, but it was actually the tri-over, got a little loose. And then I was just trying to recover, and and it's pretty hard. I was still weaving a bit. So the fact that he was able to get stabilized and hook us up again, and away we went, while everyone else was just single car, really paid off for us.
It did indeed. I mean, look, we had some suspicions that you could do it tonight, but you obviously coming into the race. Were you confident that you had a victory tonight, or were you thinking, I don't know how it's going to go?
These races are too much of a lottery. It's just, you just don't know what's going to happen. Like when Toby was in the middle of two lanes, and I had nowhere to go, sort of thing. My race could have been over just then, but I got lucky, and and it's all luck. It's all luck, and yeah, it's basically that you just got to put yourself to be in the position, and I think Dyson and myself did that, and we were able to work together and push through.
Absolutely, and speaking of luck, and the 62 has been offering some great luck this season.
Yeah, it's good. I think I've just changed some things about myself as well. I'm not as aggressive as I used to be. I'll still stick my nose anywhere I have to, but I'll think about it a bit more rather than seeing the red mist and just going for it. So, and I think that's helping me out. I'm a bit more calm and just driving my own thing and not letting everything get it build up, and yeah.
Absolutely. An absolute solid run tonight for yourself and the team as well. A 1-2 finish here at Talladega. It's always a nice thing to pull up.
It is. It is. You know, like I said, it was pretty much down to Daiso that we got that. So it's good.
Brilliant stuff from yourself. And you're racing with the Warriors on the weekend as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't make the duels tomorrow night, but I'm looking forward to starting outside front row on Saturday night. It's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you all the luck for that as well. Hopefully, you can repeat what you did tonight. Just try and iron out that little bit at the end. You know, just don't have the wobble at the end next time.
That's it. That's it.
Before we let you go, Mr. Pearson, the usual thing: shout out and love to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, you guys for the broadcast and ANZCAR for the series. I'll get into the sponsors and Simrigs.com, Southwell Lifts and Hoists, Ben Max Mechanical, Phoenix Smokers, NP Designs, Daiso. Big thanks for the push. You know, you really got me there. And Craig Roffey for third place. That's really good.
Absolutely. It's nice to see some new faces up in the top 10. It's always a nice thing to have when you're racing. But congratulations on another victory this season, Neil. You're absolutely storming it.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Neil Pearson there, the 62 for DPR, having a great run tonight and getting victory here at Talladega, Mark.
Yeah, great run throughout the whole night, mate. Yeah, it's he'll be certainly a force to be reckoned with on Saturday night as he comes into a little bit longer race.
No, absolutely. And as we mentioned in the race broadcast Saturday night, of course, the Weekend Warriors are in action over on Checkered Flag E streaming. It is at the I'll let you run it down, Mark. It's your event.
Yeah, okay. So we go into the duels to set the rest of the field. Jamie Nankervis has got Pole and Neil Pearson on the outside, so they are locked in. And the big ones, a 400-mile race around Talladega for the third annual running of the ANZAC Cup. So it's going to be interesting. Everything's going to start at 5:30 with some great pre-show slides in the broadcast of Checkered Flag, and then we go live with pre-show ceremonies and everything at 10 to 6. So it'll be very interesting. And of course, if you can't make that, the race starts at 6:35 on Saturday night.
We look forward to seeing that one over the weekend. Of course, we are back next week with some more action on the ovals here on Performance E Streaming. Of course, it is a week off for the Australasian Supercar E Series, but we will be back next week and I'm going to forget this one, so I'll ask Matt to help me out. Wonderful. So, well, we look forward to bringing you all of that action, of course, and we look forward to seeing you there next week. But from us tonight, I guess we'll wish you all a good night.